Remainers in new legal challenge to stop Brexit, claiming Article 50 was never triggered. Led by defeated Liberal Democrat parliamentary candidate Liz Webster, the crowdfunded group claims Article 50 was never legitimately triggered, despite having been agreed by a vote in Parliament, and say the revelation has the potential to halt Brexit. They have raised over £110,000 from ardent Remain supporters who hope the case could be their last-ditch way out of Brexit. Their legal argument, which will be handed to the High Court today, is that Article 50 requires a decision to withdraw from the EU to be made before it can be invoked. Although 17.5 million Britons voted to leave, the plaintiffs in the Article 50 challenge say Gina Miller's Supreme Court victory showed only Parliament can decide to leave the EU. Parliament voted to give Theresa May the authority to trigger Article 50, however there was nothing specific in that bill that said they were also voting to leave. Britain is finally making strides towards leaving the EU 18 months after the Brexit vote. But if the courts agree with campaigners' belief that Britain has not yet decided to leave the EU, the government will have to take negotiations back to square one. Liz Webster, who lost out on a seat in Swindon North to the Tories in the 2017 election, she says she worries the entire Brexit arrangement could be struck down by the European Court of Justice if the issue of the missing decision is not resolved. She said, "This issue must be resolved now as the Brexit arrangements will have to go before the European Court of Justice to be signed off at the end of the negotiating period. If we don't deal with this missing decision now, we are storing up trouble. Any deal depends on Article 50 and can be struck down at any time if the process is invalid, including after we've left. Even a no-deal Brexit can be struck down. What is more, any trade deals negotiated by the UK after Brexit will also fall if the Article 50 notification is found by the ECJ to be invalid. The consequences of this are almost too grave to contemplate." Barrister Gillian Malm, who was involved in the Gina Miller case that forced Parliament to vote to trigger Article 50, said the case made some valid points. Writing on Twitter, he said the Miller case had shown Parliament had to authorize Article 50 to be triggered. Parliament then duly passed an act authorizing Theresa May to notify a decision to leave the EU. However, it is not clear whether Parliament actually made, or needed to make, that decision. Campaigners in the new case argue it needed to, but did not, rendering the whole process so far invalid and illegal. Mr. Malm said, "Most lawyers will tell you well, a court would say that the act Parliament passed to authorize the notification also implicitly made the decision. And that, legally, is a powerful contention. But he does not think the government will make this argument, as it would imply that Parliament, and not the British people, made the final decision to leave the EU. This could boost the Remainers' case's chances of success." However, he added that in his opinion, "We are too far down the road for any court to say A50 has not been triggered.